KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, and Public Enemy with Chuck D in particular, what do you remember, either specific songs or albums that stood out to you? Because, for me, one of the great things, I grew up in Maryland and my parents were very open and encouraged me to pursue all of my interests. And a lot of them were in direct alignment with what Boogie Down Productions and Public Enemy were rapping about. So for you, what were you taking from them or learning from them that you used for your own life?
Well, I remember being grade school, junior high, and being introduced to hip hop or those particular groups, since we mentioned them, from my uncle who returned from Long Beach. He had studied under Dr. Karinga and came back radicalized. And he came back Black and excellent and powerful and unapologetic. And I was just so into it. I immediately went and got my African medallions and wore whatever outfit. It could have been a princess outfit. I had on my medallions, and I just felt so empowered by the music, particularly thinking of Sounds of the Police and Headed for Self-Destruction, Fight the Power. Just thinking about those songs, the messages of unity, empowerment, self-determination. Those were the messages that really stood out for me. And I appreciate when we can find those messages in hip hop. And it has carried me even through my elected role. Even when I hear criticism, I think of, there is a song, Jay-Z, I'm Already Home. And he has this one line where he says something like, everyone wants to tell me how to do it, but you haven't done it, something like that. And so I just think about different messages that come out in our music that have carried me through different seasons in my life, even how it informed me thinking about racial inequality and Black empowerment. And I would love for us to have more messages. And I think that the fathers or the some of the original sort of political rap leaders are well positioned to help us articulate this message of reparations, even more so organize around it. One thing we have to do is really just unite on a message, because there's a lot of debate over forms of reparations. Should it be cash, or should it be grants, or should people of African descent only that had ancestors enslaved in America, or should everybody of African descent, no matter, where their lineage is? So there's a lot of debate even within our Black community about eligibility and the forms of reparations. And I think what we have to do is decide that we all agree on reparations. And then once we get to a commission or whatever that form is that's going to lead the work of reparations, I'm talking at a national level, then among us, we can debate on what priorities are, what forms of reparations go for us, eligibility, and so on. But I would encourage you, I know that you're friends with all of hip hop. So if you could pass along a message from Robin that the reparations movement needs hip hop, then that would be a huge gift.
Yes, I'll put out some feelers for you and we'll have to reconnect on that. So part of your work now too that you're doing is being a Pritzker Fellow there at the University of Chicago. So how did you get selected and what does that entail for you?
Well, I was recommended and I went through a process that included a call and an interview on campus. And I think I was selected because the reparations movement is in great momentum, more so than ever in our history, even since, Special Field Order 15. And I believe my leading the work in Evanston and inspiring a national movement made me a good fit for this cohort, which includes other important leaders, national leaders. My colleagues are recently come out of office as governor and congresspeople and mayor and in large cities. And it includes me giving a class or a seminar weekly to students here at U Chicago at all schools in all years on reparations. And so my class or seminar is called The Road to Reparations, and we cover everything. I started last week actually with a introduction to reparations, the history, historically where we're at today, where the movement should be going. Actually, tomorrow I'll have legal frameworks and international law standards for reparations. I have guests at most weeks. Next week, I'm excited. I have Frank Williams, who you may know.
Mhm.
And he's coming in, and Erica Alexander, who is the co-director of The Big Payback, along with Whitney Dow. And that topic is going to be narrative change, storytelling, and hip hop, and how it has inspired reparations and social justice, and what it can do for reparations and social and racial justice in the future. And then other guests and topics, including allies in the movements, the academy and reparations, what is owed, a look at the economics behind reparations, lineage. We'll cover these things. And I'm leaving the class open to be informed by the students that are coming in on maybe what I missed or some hot topics before the term is over. So I'm excited to be here. While I'm here, I get to live in the beautiful, vibrant Hyde Park on the South Side, and I just love it. So if you see me turned up on 53rd Street, let me live like I've been living for this moment. Yeah, so having a great time.
Yeah, and at University of Chicago, one thing that I'm always intrigued about is I haven't figured out with the quote unquote young people or younger people, but how have you seen, because I think there's a general thought that a lot of younger people are apathetic toward politics. So what's been your experience at Chicago, in Evanston, and now at the University of Chicago?
So I've been speaking on college campuses since 2019, and that's why I'm so happy to be here. They are very passionate. They are fired up. They're trying to figure out solutions, looking at career paths that would allow them to be working on racial justice. Really great questions that even challenges me to think more about our work. And I pass these questions on to my colleagues as we're doing the work, but they want to know how they can help, how they can get involved, what exactly they could do. I've already met with a student group here on campus, the student leaders of color. And that's a group that meets every week that is working on issues to improve life circumstances for people of color. And that's how it should be, because these students are our future leaders. They are preparing to lead this nation in the next year or two when they, when they graduate and move into their career paths. So it's a very special honor and privilege to be here on this campus and other campuses that I've been able to lecture at. I just came from actually Bennett College. It is the smallest HBCU. It's in Greensboro, a micro college, all women's college, fired up. They had a reparations debate that left me like, okay, we're going to be okay. They're going to get us to that place of repair because of just how brilliant they are. And they came with a creative approach. Even their debate style was very creative. And so Erica Alexander and team working on the Big Payback documentary will actually be at all of the HBCUs in North Carolina in the coming weeks with a debate series. So there'll be a reparations debate, and then a screening of the Big Payback and a talk back where we have Q&A with the college campuses. So very happy to be here.
Yes, got to give a special shout out to North Carolina A&T. A lot of my friends went there. So that being said, from either being at University of Chicago or just in general, how has your thought evolved, or what's your belief now of the role of educational opportunities for reparations?
Well, I came here knowing that we needed more emphasis on educational opportunities. And it's important to note that now I've been in dozens of cities all across the nation, and every Black community lifts up education as a priority. And that could be partnerships, town gown partnerships, where universities are collaborating with municipalities, offering free tuition, free tutoring for, grade school and high school age, but certainly starting with the truth in education, truth of Black history, of African history, starting on the continent, not starting with, the I Have a Dream speech. So that is one area. And then also these institutions need to be doing their own repair work. They need to establish their own harm report. What have they done that's been anti-Black? Why are there education gaps at their institutions that are so well funded and supported? Why is the Black community still underperforming academically? And look at their structure, their systems historically, and develop that harm report and develop remedies to address the harm. And so there's a few different areas that education or the academy at large needs to get involved. We see some of it happening. Harvard just released a report, a harm report, committed $100 million. It's a good start, for Harvard. Others, Brown University, Georgetown. I just actually spoke at the University of Cambridge in the UK. They have released a report and made a commitment to begin a road to repair. I have to shout out my own public school system in Evanston District 65, our elementary school system, just passed returning a school to our historically Black neighborhood where it had passed by referendum. It had failed by referendum. It had failed every other attempt to bring a school back to the Black community. And now that has passed. So we're seeing some progress. At the same time, we're seeing critical race theory in the headlines and the good sister, Nicole Hannah-Jones, and how hard she's fighting for us and getting beat up for us as it relates to truth and education. And so I believe that we're seeing so much pushback because we're making inroads. And I look at it as a sign of promise, where you can really look at it and be discouraged. But I'm looking at it as a sign as they're feeling it. We're stinging them. And so this is why there's this sort of radical a pushback for truth and education.
Absolutely. Well, Robin, thanks so much for coming through to Unique Access. Really appreciate your time. Before you go, is there anything else you wanted to add?
There is not. Happy to be here. As you mentioned, thank you to the good friend Jahi Allah from Dungeon Studios in Las Vegas for making this introduction. And thank you, Soren, for the messages that you bring to the people.
Well, thank you, and sending you continued success.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.